Peace, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022. It is 7:16 p.m. and I'm coming to you to talk to you about Motu Proprio. But before, I want you to take a listen to a song written by my former husband who passed on January the 28th. I was his caretaker and power of attorney, and he is the father of my children and the husband of my youth. Listen to this song before we get into our topic for today. Here we go. I hope you enjoyed it. It's called From the Rising of the Sun. I hope you can hear that.
From the rising of the sun, I'll praise your name. Hallelujah, praise your name. Hallelujah, praise you, Jesus. Lord, I love to praise you. I will praise your name. After all that I've been through, I'll praise the name.
This song makes me miss him so much.
Hallelujah.
Very talented musician.
Praise your name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Lord, I love to praise you. I will praise your name. The birds of the field will call your name, and all of your children will proclaim. You are the only one. You are the only one. You are the only one worthy of all praise.
I'll stop it right there. I just wanted to give you an introduction of his song because he is a very talented musician. But let's get into the topic for today, Motu Proprio. Let me see if I can bring the screen up for you. Motu Proprio. Pope Francis sent President Obama, a very powerful letter via his attorney on July the 4th, 2014. And one of the reasons why I brought this up today is because I was researching the United States Incorporated, which is a corporation. I don't know if you all realize this, but America is, of course, the country. But in 1871, our republic or our lawful government was actually usurped by a group of foreigners, foreign bankers, and bloodline families, which took over our government and formed a corporation called the United States of America Corporation or the United States of America Incorporated. These papers were filed in the state of Delaware, and they were filed. I think the first time it was filed, maybe it was in 1890, but the last time it was filed, according to what my research says, was 1989. Now, it's important to understand that our republic was usurped and our Constitution for the United States of America, the republic, was usurped. And what these bloodline families did was create a corporation, as I said, filed the paperwork in Delaware, and then created a fake, phony constitution of the United States of America. Now, four is the lawful constitution, of is the unlawful, illegal, defunct, wicked corporation or constitution of the United States of America. It's important for us to understand this because, according to my research, too, if you look up Anna von Reitz, I will put a link of her website in the description. She is a retired judge who has done extensive research on the corporation of the United States of America, which again are these bloodline families and foreigners who have overtaken our republic and now leading this country. At least they were until it was bankrupt. And according to her website, the corporation was bankrupt in 2015. Now, this is important because as as you know, the white hats or the military is fighting against these unlawful, illegal people who have usurped our country and have instituted wicked laws or statutes and codes in the Admiralty law and enslaved the planet. So if this corporation was bankrupt in 2015, and I'll put you a link in the description so you can look that up for yourself, where it says that this corporation is not in good standing. If that is the case, then why in the world are we still being treated as slaves? And why in the world are we going by this unlawful constitution? Additionally, why is the court system operating even though it is unlawful? And the police departments also, they are operating unlawfully. Keep in mind that police officers are policy enforcers. They do not enforce the law. They do not enforce the Constitution for the United States of America or the Republic. They are policy enforcers, hence the term police officers. And some would even tell you that they were actually created to catch slaves. Now, you will have to do your own research on that, but why is that entity operating? Why are the three letter organizations, including the one that deals with your taxes, operating right now? They're all unlawful. Perhaps that's why that three-letter organization that starts with the I and ends with an S was actually formed into, or its duties were put underneath the United States Treasury Department, along with the Federal Reserve powers and Federal Reserve entities and duties were put underneath the United States Treasury Department under number 45, probably because the white hats are actively taking down those entities. But let's get back to what Pope Francis sent to President Obama in a powerful letter via his attorney on July 4th, 2014. Let me read this to you because a lot of people have not reported on this. This was called Motu Proprio. Now, your Moors and the Grand Sheik, which is the Grand Teacher, of the Moors, who goes by the name of Taj Tariq El Bey, has reported on this extensively, Motu Proprio, because when you do away with the United States of America Incorporated or corporation, what happens is we return back to the Republic and the Constitution for the United States of America, which is actually the lawful government of the Moors. The Moors are the people that many of you call Black, because they are the indigenous people here in America on the continent, on these lands in North America, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. These are the indigenous people that were found here by Christopher Columbus when he came. And if you look up the 1828 definition of American, it will say something to the effect like the copper colored people discovered here by Columbus, but now applied to Europeans here in America. So the indigenous people are actually the people that you classify or call Black. Black is not an ethnicity, it is not a race of people. Black, as many of you who have studied Black's Law Dictionary know, is actually a legal status or a status in law that means you are dead. It means you are a slave. It is defined as blank, bleak, white, and pale. I'm not white, but pale and non existent, because it is a dead status. So people in America who are the indigenous people, copper colored people, uh, were originally called indigenous or aboriginal, and then their classification under Walter Plecker in the Census Bureau changed or was changed from indigenous or copper color or Americans or Amoricans or Moors to coloreds, and then it was changed to Negro, and then to Black, and then to African American. And some people say that Jesse Jackson was actually charged with naming us African Americans, and some even say he owns the copyright to that. So you can, I don't know how you can be African American. I don't think that really is an ethnicity. I don't know. Maybe it is, but it does not apply to the copper colored people here. It is erroneous. We are the indigenous Americans or Americans or aboriginal people of this country. So again, Pope Francis sent this powerful letter in 2014, right before the United States of America incorporated went bankrupt in 2015. I don't want to be before you long. Let's read this. Issued to all members of the domestic police forces, U.S. Marshal Service, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association, and the American Armed Services. These organic American states of the Union, known as the United States of America Major, exercising plenary civil power upon the land, hereby appoint General Carter F. Ham to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic, also known as the GAR, and its successors under the guidance of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and their full support. Should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces operating under the guise of being federal government agencies, including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, etc., General Ham shall assume immediate command and control of all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America Major, stationed in North America, and shall join them under the command as the Grand Army of the Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. Can you see that? All effort shall be made by the Grand Army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. The GAR is uniquely enabled by these orders to operate on the land of the 50 organic states for the purposes of securing the lives and property of the American states and the American state citizens. The GAR is not a foreign army and is composed primarily of American state citizens. If required to take field position, the local commander shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and the reasons for their presence on American state soil to ensure a prompt cessation of hostilities and a widespread understanding of the usurpation and acts of fraud which have led to any conflict. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligation to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic, or the GAR, shall continue to operate under General Order 100, known as the Lieber Code, extant from the pen of the last Republic President, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the last Republic President. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack H. Obama, pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as President of the United States Corporation, nor as the President of the United States of America Minor, are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Ham, or any ordinary. All plainly stated grants of contractual authority evident in the Constitution for the United States of America remain in place, subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligations and treaties. Mr. Obama is the president of a governmental services corporation under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. Did you see that? He is on the payroll of the corporation. He is a president or was the president of a corporation under contract. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America minor. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to oppose upon American state citizens, endanger American state property, or command mercenary forces on American state soil. However, veiled as federal civilian services agencies, we require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agency personnel and to seize control of the vast stockpiles of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and other agencies employed by the United States. The only federal agency allowed to free aggress on the land of the American states is the United States Marshal Services, and then only when their personnel are engaged in their duty to protect the United States mail and sworn to act as constitutional officers. All other federal agency personnel are limited to unarmed service until further notice. We direct the Joint Chiefs of Staffs to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to Mr. Obama, the members of the United States Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court, and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and incorporation. Any expense or damage incurred by these organic states or any American state citizens as a result of action undertaken by any federal agency personnel acting as armed mercenaries on American state soil will be understood as the result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land and will incur immediate judgment, liquidating the assets of the International Monetary Fund or the IMF and the Federal Reserve, and payments of the stipulated reparations. Such crimes shall also be considered contract default, increasing the public debt subject to bounty. Any and all corporate officers of the United States or any successor organizations inheriting federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States of America minor who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest, confiscation of their assets, and deportation to Puerto Rico, Guam, or such other states as may be willing to receive them. Such foreign officials include members of the American and British Bar Association who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. Did you see that? Let me read that again. Such foreign officials include members of the American and British Bar Association, those are the judges and lawyers, who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. Members of the Bar Association are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and the American citizens and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise, insomuch as corporate officers operating the United States of America Incorporated and the United States have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and living American state citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the United States of America minor. They are found guilty of capital crimes, including acts of fraud and treasons committed between 1933 and 1945, and are condemned posthumously, insomuch as elected officials operating the United States of America minor have similarly committed war crimes against the American states and their peaceful inhabitants during the same time period. They stand condemned posthumously. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizen is owed as a result of any act or any Congress, quote unquote, operating as the sovereign government of the United States of America minor, nor as the board of directors or board of trustees of any incorporated entity whatsoever. All these estates in all capital letters, erroneously believed to represent the American states and the American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United Nations, are revenued without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens, where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries. All legal fiction entities, however structured and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf, quote unquote, by officers of the United States of America Incorporated and the United States Inc. in all capital letters, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America minor, or the United Nations city-state falsely claiming to represent them or having jurisdiction over them. We note that the current circumstance is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels backing United States government debt in the wake of the Civil War. Despite every act of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been the policy of the U.S. government to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the people. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American state citizens that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. And here are the attachments. I will put that in a link. This is called Motu Proprio. It is a letter that was sent to President Obama in 2014 by Pope Francis. And this was reposted August 19, 2015. Civil Orders, July 4th, 2014. You need to know what's going on in our country. This is why the white hats are now currently fighting against the United States corporation and the New World Order powers, foreigners, bankers, foreign entities, and draconian reptilians who have usurped authority from our government, from our country, from the Republic, and from we the people. This website you can see here, prepareforchange.net 2015. You see that here? That is the website. I will put the link in the description. In the comment section. I'm sorry. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It has been my pleasure to bring you this information and this news. Peace, family. I love you. Stay the course. We will win. We are winning this battle. The United States Corporation is defunct, unlawful, and all entities attached to it, as Pope Francis has said in 2014, are to cease and desist. That includes the court system, that includes the attorneys, that are unlawfully operating as lawyers. That includes judges and all three-letter organizations, FBI, CIA, CPS, all those that you can think of. They are unlawful and must cease and desist. Francis knew that this was coming to an end, so now it's time for we the people to know this as well. I love you. Take care. Bye bye for now.